Sequoyah, inventor of the Cherokee written language, by Diane Shaughnessy and Jack Carpenter. Sequoyah was born around 1770 in the village of Tuskegee in what is now the state of Alabama. Most Americans knew Sequoyah as George Guess, but the Cherokees called him Sequoyah. British missionaries gave him the name Sequoyah. Sequoyah was raised as a Cherokee. He is famous for inventing the syllabary for the Cherokee language. The syllabary is an alphabet whose letters stand for the syllables that make up the words in the Cherokee language. Sequoyah created a way for the Cherokees to write in their own language. The Cherokee Indians once lived in the southern part of the Appalachian Mountains. This area is now the states of North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama. Today, they live in what is now the state of Oklahoma. The Cherokees called themselves Ani-Yunwiya. They were given the name Cherokee by a tribe who lived nearby. Cherokee means people of a different language. The Cherokee Nation was strong and powerful. They were leaders among the Native Americans in their area. As a young man, Sequoyah was a brave warrior and a good hunter and trader. He also worked as a silversmith. He was able to speak many languages, including Cherokee, Spanish, and French. This made him a good interpreter between the Cherokees and the neighboring white settlers. Sequoyah was interested in the way white people could communicate with each other by writing on sheets of paper. Some Native Americans call this talking leaves. Sequoyah saw young Cherokees learning English to communicate with white people. He was afraid that these Cherokees would forget their own language and culture. People use language to preserve their cultural traditions and history. At that time, Cherokee was only a spoken language. There were no letters that Cherokee people could use to make words to write with. Sequoyah believed that he could create a written form of the Cherokee language. In that way, the Cherokee culture could be kept alive. In 1809, Sequoyah began to work on creating a Cherokee alphabet. At first, Sequoyah drew a picture for each Cherokee word or idea. He soon realized that it would take too many pictures to write down one sentence. No one would be able to learn or remember that many pictures. During this time, Sequoyah built himself a cabin in the woods, away from his wife and family. He needed time alone to work. His friends couldn't understand why he was spending so much time on this project. Sequoyah's wife finally became tired of Sequoyah's project. One night, she went to his cabin and threw all of his papers into the fireplace. Some people would have been angry, but Sequoyah saw this as a new beginning. He started the work all over again. This time, instead of breaking sentences into words, Sequoyah broke the words into sounds or syllables. He drew one character for each syllable. He knew that all Cherokee words were made up of the same sounds. The sounds or syllables were put together in different ways to make words. 12 years later, in 1821, Sequoyah had developed 86 characters. This was later changed to 85. Sequoyah took his syllabary, or alphabet based on syllables, to the leaders of the Cherokee Nation. They were amazed. They quickly accepted Sequoyah's characters as the Cherokee written language. The Cherokees finally had their own talking leaves. They were the first Native Americans to develop a written language. In 1822, Sequoyah visited Cherokees who lived in other areas. He taught them to read and write the new language. Soon, most Cherokees could read and write Cherokee. In 1827, the Cherokee tribal leaders wrote their own constitution using their new written language. The leaders also agreed to set aside money for a Cherokee newspaper. 1 year later, the first edition of the Cherokee Phoenix was printed. The articles were printed in English and Cherokee. In 1838 and 1839, the U.S. government decided it wanted the Cherokee land for white settlers. Soldiers forced the Cherokee people to move nearly 900 miles west of their homeland to what is now the state of Oklahoma. This forced march was later called the Trail of Tears. Of the 16,000 people who walked the Trail of Tears, over 4,000 people died. It is not known whether Sequoyah made the march, but he did move to Oklahoma around that time. Sequoyah lived to be 84. He died in 1843. The Cherokee written language is believed to be the only known language created by one person and used by many. To honor Sequoyah, the giant sequoia trees found in California's Yosemite Valley were named for him. Thanks to Sequoyah's characters, nearly everyone in the Cherokee Nation can read and write in Cherokee. Today, the Cherokee Nation is still one of the strongest Native American nations in the United States. They have a written history that can be passed down from parent to child and will never be forgotten.